And we are live on a Thursday morning, a Throwback Thursday. Woo! There it is. Let me share that. Let's see. Foam Foot 420. Yes. Foam Foot, what did you say? 9-3 yesterday? I'll take 7-2. That was pretty darn close. 4 people in here early. James Wright, good morning. What a sweeter morning this is after an Astros victory than yesterday. Yeah, now got to go. And if they can do what they did in Boston, take 2 out of 3 in the middle 3, that would be just absolutely beautiful. Hector Gomez, good morning. Dave Ayler wearing his St. Louis Blues t-shirt this morning. Way to go, Astros. Totally agree. That was absolutely sweet. Taro Kotani. Hello, Taro. Taro Kotani joining us from Tokyo, Japan this morning. The greatest international Spurs fan ever. 16 trips from Tokyo, Japan to San Antonio to see the Spurs. Buenos días, Jason Paniagua. ¿Cómo está usted? Yo necesito muchas cervezas, por favor. On Spurs React the other night, after the overtime loss to the Lakers, a woman came on and said, I'm done with the Spurs. I have no hope for the Spurs. And I feel bad for people jumped all over her. And I was just aghast that after the Spurs played well against the Lakers with this young team and played well for 3 games, that she and other Spurs fans would be so negative, but oh well. I already feel, and I talk Spurs here because Taro jumped in here. I already feel this Spurs team is better than I thought they were going to be. Are there going to be growing pains? Yes. Do they need how to learn to win a game like the Lakers game or each of the last 3 that they were in near the end? Yes, they do. And yes, they will. And it's part of the process. Spurs Mavericks coming up tonight. Steve Duraco, good morning. Ralph Balderas, Luisa Alanis. Steve Duraco, who's lost at last count 25 pounds in 43 days. He is a weight loss machine. Yeah, Taro, I've never felt this good about a 3-game losing streak. I mean, obviously, I want to win all 3 of those games, or one of them, or 2 of them, especially 2, because Meatloaf says 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But it didn't happen. And it's on to the Mavericks. And, maybe they get blown out tonight. Tim Duncan's Spurs teams got blown out. They're going to get blown out eventually. But for them not to get blown out at Denver or against the Bucks or against the Lakers, that's pretty good. Here we come. All right, let's see. I want to alter these. So I'm going to do that. And we're rocking. Anthony Del Toro, what is up?
Now, Chris Duel.
What a difference a day makes. What a difference a night makes. What a difference a 4-run second inning makes. This World Series between the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves is now tied 1-1. Astros win last night 7-2. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, baseball gods and goddesses on high. And as always, when the Astros win and when the Astros inch that much closer to another World Series championship, I must say, sorry, haters. Sorry. So sorry, haters. Astros are 3 wins away from another World Series. And let's welcome in Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Shannon, I stayed up for the whole game last night. I had to. I had no choice. It's the World Series. I'm in. So I'm a little sleep deprived, but I don't care. It is a good kind of sleep deprived this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm sure it was worth it. I went to bed with a comfortable lead, so felt good about that. And it's so, this is the World Series, right? It's not a regular season. So with every win and every loss, you feel it deeply. You feel it so much more than you typically would.
Yes.
So yesterday when we were like, I don't know about Astros in 6, and also Astros in 6, here we go.
Yeah.
I told y'all this entire time.
And I was so, your life and your outlook is as good as the last game you watched.
Right. Which is not healthy, but
no, it's not.
Here we are.
And I was yesterday talking to you, Shannon, going, I hope there's a Halloween night game because that means this thing is going at least 5, and that will mean the Astros won a game. And yes, now they did. And now, Shannon, now my perspective has changed. Now what I want the Astros to do is do what they did in Boston in that series. That was 1-1 after the first 2 in Houston, shifted to Fenway Park in Boston for 3, and the Astros took 2 of 3. You obviously you got to get at least 1 in Atlanta to bring that series back to Houston for a game 6. But I don't want the Astros to be in an elimination game in game 6. By definition, if there is a game 6, it's going to be an elimination game for somebody fighting to make it a 7-game series. But man, if there's any way the Astros can take 2 out of 3 in Atlanta, not only does Meatloaf sing 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but the Astros, again, if they come home to Minute Maid Park with 2 chances to win 1 and win another World Series, that would be just beautiful for them.
Yeah. And, what do you think of the pitching last night? Because Mr. Fried for the Braves had some trouble.
Yes.
Got the Astros off to a pretty decent start.
Yeah. Jose Urquidy, I thought, did his job. Yeah. I mean, gave up that early home run,
right,
which we didn't like. But the Astros came right back and evened it up. And then in the second inning, they score 4 runs, and that felt much more comfortable for most of the night.
Yeah, I agree.
But and again, though, pitching is going to be key in this series, as we found out in game 1, Shannon. Framber Valdez, who was a little off in the Boston series, then had a great game late in the Boston series, was quite off last night. And Max Fried, as you mentioned, with that 4-run, getting shelled 4 runs in that second inning. And ultimately he was responsible for a couple of the runs, even after he was pulled. That was rough on them. Yet, they also lose Charlie Morton, as we discussed yesterday in game 1, essentially broke his leg. So pitching is going to be tough. I'm still very worried. Thank God, Shannon, Jose Altuve came out of his slump last night. He gets a big home run. He had a double, an RBI. He scored again. He scored early in the game before he hit his home run. So it looks like Jose Altuve is out of his slump. But my God, Alex Bregman Where are you? Where are you in this postseason? I know Alex Bregman was injured during the season. Maybe our expectation shouldn't be that high, but Alex Bregman not in the postseason yet, doing what we need him to do. And Carlos Correa, who in the White Sox series and in the ALCS against the Boston Red Sox had some moments where he was pointing at his watch because he made big plays. You know, the big three, if you ask me, for the Astros are Correa, Altuve, and Bregman, and two of those big three not yet rising up in this World Series.
Right. And I guess there's a couple ways you could look at it. I mean, you could see, we're tied 1-1, so it's not hurting us a lot now, right? So just imagine what it could be if even one of those guys started playing better. And to that point, too, like with Bregman, I mean, the broadcasters caught on last. I mean, there was a ball hit down the baseline that he missed in an error, and they were commenting on his recent struggles. I think it'll be a little bit more glaring as we get deeper into this World Series because it could make or break this Astros team. Right now, it doesn't feel that big of a weight, especially when you do have Jose Altuve still doing his thing and helping to get that win last night. But it's going to become an issue as they get deeper into this.
And one more thing about Altuve, and they put the stat up last night, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the Lions' share of his home runs come at Minute Maid Park. When Jose Altuve goes on the road this season, not as many home runs, although he had a big one at Fenway, as I recall, which tied that score at 2-2 in the game 4 before the Astros scored those 9 runs in the top of the 9th, or the 7 runs in the top of the 9th to blow that one open. And they never looked back from that moment. So, I mean, we saw Altuve hit a big home run at Boston in the ALCS, but they got to get Correa and Bregman going. And you mentioned, Shannon, we're 1-1 now. I think that's about where we should be. I mean, anybody who thought the Astros would sweep the Braves are red hot. The Braves are good. The Braves added especially outfielders late in the season. They're on a roll. They're the hottest team in the National League, if not the hottest team in baseball right now. So 1-1 is about where we should be. And probably, somebody wins 2 out of 3 in Atlanta, and we come to a game 6 that will be an elimination game for somebody. I think now you look; these teams look very evenly matched. I think this looks like a 6 or a 7 game series now, one way or the other.
Yeah, and given that we are back settled, even 1-1, that is around our poll question today over on Twitter, AM13 on the Zone and Ticket 760, saying now that the World Series is tied at 1-1, who goes on to win? We've got 4 options for you today. Astros in 5 or 6, Braves in 5 or 6, Astros in 7, and Braves in 7. Currently leading the way is Astros in 5 or 6, closely following behind Astros in 7.
I voted Astros in 7. I got a feeling we're going 7.
We're still favoring the Astros, which is good. That's a good sign. When that starts to swing, especially given that we are in Texas, then we have problems.
Yeah. And I still hear people out there saying, the Astros are cheaters. I don't root for you know what? Enjoy that. Have fun with that.
Because you've never cheated on anything a day in your life. Get over yourself.
And oh, by the way, and I'm going to keep banging this drum, Shannon, if not this trash can. The Astros are the most scrutinized team this season and last season in the history of baseball. If there was ever a team that cheated less or could never cheat, it's this edition of the Houston Astros. So you haters can hate on the Astros, and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to be in your face if and when the Astros win this World Series, because you can just cling to your hatred, cling to your little cheating mantra. But it's impossible for them to cheat. All eyes are on the Astros.
Yeah.
All opponents' eyes of the league, eyes of journalists, eyes of reporters, eyes of all fans, especially opposing fans. So enjoy clinging to your little Astro hate.
I've got a comment on that and a question for you, but let's go ahead. 6:20 this morning. We do this throughout the day on both stations. Your chance to win $1,000. Here's your first keyword of the day.
Now, you your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword GRAND to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's GRAND to 200-200.
Grand is the key word, by the way. As Shannon mentioned, we do that all day and into the night on the 20s. So on this show, 6:20, 7:20, 8:20, and then all night, all day, all night, up until 9:20 tonight. So you had something on Astros and cheating, Shannon?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like all the eyes that are potentially on this thing, and especially given, people, it's like the Dallas Cowboys, right? They watch them because they love them, and then they watch them because they love to hate them. But the game one results are in. 10.8 million viewers is the lowest viewership for a game one in the World Series. If you want to compare to the NFL, that Cowboys Tampa Bay game that just kicked off the season was 23 million viewers. And I know the NFL is a different breed, but do you think that maybe the scandal has maybe just turned people off at this point? They don't even want to watch it anymore?
That's a great question.
Or is it just baseball?
Well, I think it's a number of things. Number one, I think it is just baseball. I'm sure there's a certain contingent that the cheating scandal turned them off. The other one, though, is I don't think anybody, if it were Astros Dodgers and we talked about all the storylines there and the grudge match, I think the numbers would be a lot higher. I don't think most people can name anybody on the Atlanta Braves across America outside Atlanta. So, if it were Dodgers, that would be big. And then the other thing, I saw those numbers, Shannon, and I thought this as well. But you make the great point. Cowboys, Buccaneers on Thursday night to open up the NFL season. Huge numbers, obviously. Tom Brady, big star. Dallas Cowboys, always a big star. But in the case of this baseball series, more and more now, Shannon, and every season, now with streaming services, if you're not into baseball, you got more options now than you did even a year ago. If it were the same two teams from last year playing this year, I would expect the numbers to be a little down, just because in the lives of Americans and citizens of the world, we are streaming more content on Netflix, Disney Plus, you go ahead and name them all, HBO Max. So I think that's part of it. But what mitigates that, and you make the huge point, even though that's going on, Cowboys, Buccaneers, it just shows you if there's star power and people want to watch, they're going to put away their streaming services for 3.5 hours and watch a big time sporting event. Yeah.
And as you said, it is Astros versus Braves, not Astros versus Dodgers, Astros versus whatever. I mean, this kind of feels like the Bucks Suns finals.
Yeah.
Right.
And they said that about the Spurs all the time.
They wanted the Nets and the Lakers. They wanted the Dodgers and the Yankees. They got Astros and Braves.
Yeah, I remember when it was Spurs and the New Jersey Nets before they were the Brooklyn Nets, and everybody thought, oh my, and they were saying TV executives hate this, fans hate this, and that's what the Spurs always got. The Spurs are boring. And as much as I love the Astros and you love the Astros, and by the way, Mike Hard's going to join us tomorrow on the show to preview game number 3, which will be tomorrow night. As much as we love the Astros, and to us, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, previously George Springer before he left, are household names to us. I realize, if it were Dodgers Yankees, my God, or Dodgers Red Sox, that would be a much bigger number than Astros. Yeah. So I totally get that. Let's bring in, and he's already on the screen, and we'll unmute him. Or Dave, unmute yourself for our audience. There he is. Dave Ayler wearing your St. Louis Blues 50 t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt on a crisp day.
This is my winter coat around here.
Woo!
50 years. They say this is so it's like the shirt's like 3 years old.
Nice.
But the unbeaten Blues, 5-0 going into tonight.
Really? See, I haven't looked much at hockey yet.
And not like the seasons of, it's like the NBA season goes on forever. So 5-0 really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. How many games? Do you know how many games are in an NHL season? It's close to the NBA.
Yeah, it's 82 or 84.
Yeah, it's a similar number, but that's a lot of games.
Yeah, way too many.
God, that's a lot of games. So well, good for you. When you're happy and your team wins, we don't really have a a dog in the fight unless you're a Dallas Stars fan. Shannon, are you a Dallas Stars fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dallas.
All right. So sorry, Dave. So
I'm just surprised that she even knows who the Dallas Stars are.
What?
Come
Did you
on.
know that-
What the hell?
did you know there's
What
an
the hell
NHL
kind of
station
comment
there?
is that?
We got the Texas Stars right up the road. I'm
Yeah,
basically
well, see, yeah,
neighbors
there you
with
go.
the team.
Well, we used to have the Blues farm club here, but they moved.
Speaking of Dallas sports franchises, we're going to have to get into it, Shannon. Your beloved Dallas Mavericks hosting my and Dave's beloved San Antonio Spurs tonight. So will the Spurs lose 4 in a row? Will Spurs fans continue to dog Greg Popovich and this young Spurs team that's going through some growing pains, but still looking very, very good? We will get into that. The high five play of the day is moments away. Andy Everett after 8:30. He's the voice of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunner football team and UTSA athletics. We'll talk about all kinds of things with Andy: college football, World Series, golf. 7 o'clock hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. $1,000 you can win every hour on the 20s. In the 8 o'clock hour, we'll give away some more Ron White concert tickets. Comedian Ron White coming to the Majestic Theater in San Antonio in February, but you could win the tickets today. Why the heck not? And we're opening up the phone lines. You're welcome all morning long. You want to talk Astros? You want to talk Cowboys? Are you worried about Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott may or may not play on Sunday night against the Vikings. We'll get into that. Phone number 800-707-9760. 800-707-9760. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. He is Dave Ayler in the St. Louis Blues t-shirt. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Woo! Jerry Lauder, welcome in. James Wright, Hector Gomez, Taro Kotani, Jason Paniagua, Luisa Alanis, Ralph Balderas, Steve Duraco, Anthony Del Toro. I did say Foam Foot 420, didn't I? John Williams. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I need coffee. Clint Proctor, good morning. John Williams telling us Dak Prescott was at practice for a limited time. Yeah, and C.D. Lamb says, nothing to worry about. Dak will be there. I heard Brady Quinn and LeVar Arrington on the show before us kind of slamming C.D. Lamb, saying, hey, man, even if you know that, you don't tell Mike Zimmer and the Minnesota Vikings that. It's coffee time. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to heat up my coffee. And let you enjoy some Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor's going to sit in for me here for the next couple of minutes. Put him right in the middle of the Houston H. How about that? There you go. Make him part of the logo. Back in a sec. Thank you, Mike. Beth Settle, good morning. Good morning, Beth Settle. Have you noticed I'm a little proud of this? Bryn Forbes has a boo mask on for Halloween. Straighten that out a little bit. There you go, Bryn. You got to cover the nose. Cover the nose. Wear that mask right. Thank you. Woo! Gotta check something out here. All right. Let's see here. Louisa Alanis says it is a beautiful 51 degrees out there. Louisa, beautiful to you. When I got to start wearing a jacket, and I almost had to wear one this morning, and I thought about it, and then I thought, all right, I can make it from the car to the building, and I can make it from my front door to my car. But we're right on the precipice of my having to wear a jacket. And you know how I am with cold weather. Gosh, how long till spring? Spring is March 20th or 21st. Today's October 28th. The low, I think Saturday morning is going to be 48 forecast. See if that's still the case on my app. What does my app say? My app says it's 54 right now in San Antonio. What is it in Austin? And 3 degrees warmer, a balmy 57 in Austin right now. 63 in Houston, home of the Astros. And it's always good to know what the temperature is in Marfa, It's 41 in Marfa right now. Okay. Tomorrow morning, 48. 45 on Saturday morning. Homie, don't play that.
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
I may start getting salty myself because Luisa Alanis, who joins us on the live video feed, just said it's a beautiful 51 degrees outside right now. To which I say, Luisa, maybe beautiful to you. Some of us don't like the temperature dropping below about 60. And Shannon, I looked at my weather app, and supposedly tomorrow morning, 48 for a low. Saturday morning, 45 for a low in the San Antonio area. You guys currently about 3 degrees warmer than we are in Austin, but I'm not digging the cold way. I almost wore a jacket this morning. What did you wear, a jacket or a hoodie? What did you wear to work this morning?
I'm wearing a blue jean jacket, but it was in my car, luckily, because I walked out and it was cold.
Yeah.
I wasn't as prepared. There's usually like when we haven't been getting them, I feel like the days of like 70 degrees.
Yes.
You know, just a week or two of just a nice 70 degrees. We get that for like an hour or two, and then the temperature either goes way up or it goes way down. I went to an event last night for Partnerships for Children, great organization, doing some great things for kids in the area at Cover 3, one of my go-to spots. Woo. And the event was from 6 to 8, and I wore a jacket, and I didn't really need it going in, but by the time I left, wind. Like, and I get cold so easily that it's that time of year, Chris.
I do too.
I guess it's okay, but
Well, and you're smart. And when I'm smart, I do this in Texas, is you keep a jacket in the trunk of your car or in the back. Because I mean, it does. There's some of those days where you'll go to work in the morning, you go, oh God, it's cold. And then by noon, it's warm and you got to lose the jacket. But then, and then soon we move into, and then you think I'm cranky now, Shannon, when the time change happens. And I don't even know when that happens. I think it happens sometime in November. When it starts getting dark at 5:20 p.m. Ugh.
See, I like that.
Oh, I hate that.
Because I don't like going to bed when the sun is still out. And that's the summer thing. But I love it.
All right. At least somebody's happy about that. By the way, Robert Browning joining us from Tokyo, Japan this morning. And by the way, Taro Kotani, we've got an international audience. Yesterday on the live video feed, we had Ofa Lin joining us from Singapore. This morning, we've got Taro Kotani and Robert Browning joining us from Tokyo. He says right now it's 59 degrees in Tokyo. It'll be 44 tomorrow morning. What other sports talk show gives you the morning weather forecast in Tokyo? And by the way, Robert Browning is our good friend who is going to climb Mount Fuji early in 2022 and plant a Spurs flag up there. And Robert, we may need some kind of self-aggrandizing. You video yourself, Robert. You plant the Spurs flag, and you go, and a shout out to Shannon, Dave Ayler, and Chris. Come on, man.
And everyone around him at the time would be like, who?
Huh?
Who? What?
Who's that? But
did we lose them coming up here? What happened?
Yeah, and come on, Robert, we're going to have you on the show to pimp your trek up Mount Fuji. The least you can do is give us a shout out at the summit on video. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to plant a Shannon flag or anything.
No.
Although you could.
Things.
Yeah. You could. I got an Astros flag behind me. You could plant the Astros flag. There's the Astros flag. So, all right. It is time, ladies and, and by the way, I do want to underscore this. I meant to say this when you said it. You went to maybe we should give you a high five this morning, Shannon. You went to a cool event for an organization that helps kids. Before we do the high five play of the day, tell us a little bit about that organization. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, so Partnerships for Children, they help kids find good homes, and they do with Cover 3, and a lot of those folks are on the board. They do toy drives for their I think it's a sunrise room where they are always collecting either school supplies or whatever it is that kids need during that season. And this is one of the annual fundraisers. It's called the Party because today is the golf tournament. I am not equipped for golf tournaments. Maybe one day. I do need some more formal training.
Andy Everett will be your coach.
People who golf in their spare time more frequently than I do because I've never done it. But I can take place in going to a party and socializing and silent auction. And there was ring toss with both wine bottles and bourbon.
Woo.
My dad did one, and he landed on the bourbon, which was great. We had just tasted the bourbon, so it was very exciting. My mom won an auction item.
Nice. Big night for the family.
Yeah, Hardball Harge was there. Kenny Sims, former #1 overall draft pick to the New England Patriots, and obviously a former Texas Longhorn himself. It was a fun night, and something I've looked forward to every year for the past couple of years, and last year, of course, because where we were, it was virtual, so I was excited to be around those people again, and they always raise a great amount of money, and it's a lot of fun.
And again, high five to you, former Longhorn Kenny Sims, Hardball Harge, supporting that great organization last night. And again, Hardball Harge, I think 8:05 tomorrow morning. Hardball Harge will talk Astros World Series and preview Game 3, which is tomorrow night in Atlanta. Hardball Harge, as our listeners know, former professional baseball player and just a spectacular analyst for the Astros and the World Series. And every time I see Yordan Alvarez, Shannon, I think of Hardball Harge because I used to have him on when Yordan was at Round Rock. And as you know, Harge has done play-by-play or color commentary, calling the Round Rock Express games. And I remember him saying to me, he goes, Chris, there's this kid named Yordan Alvarez who just keeps hitting it out of the park, and he's gigantic. He's like a big bull, and he is going to be a big deal for the Houston Astros. And I said, all right, I need to remember that name, Yordan Alvarez. And now, I mean, here he is. And arguably in the postseason, Alvarez has been better than Altuve, certainly Bregman, and you could argue better than Correa. I mean, without Yordan Alvarez, they might not be in this World Series this year.
I was getting ready to go to bed, and then it was, I guess it was the Astros' turn to hit, and they were like, and up next in the lineup is going to be Yordan Alvarez. I was like, okay, I'll sit through this commercial break and watch because I think he got walked, so I didn't get to see him hit a homer or anything. But he's like must see kind of guy now, and it was awesome watching him in Round Rock. I mean, going to baseball games in the middle of the afternoon is a passion of mine, and getting to see him play and then seeing where he is now, it's incredible.
Let's go win yourself your first ring, Yordan, because he wasn't there with them in 2017. Just another reason. And one more thing before the high five, and I love it. You know, we say in pop we trust as Spurs fans. I haven't brought this up yet, Shannon, but it's a big phrase in Houston these days. In Dusty, we trusty. I love it. In Dusty, we trusty. How can you not love Dusty Baker? I mean, you haters who hate the Houston Astros and go, cheaters. Well, he wasn't there in 2017. He's 72 years old, second oldest manager in World Series history. And has never won the World Series as a manager. I want Dusty Baker to get his darn ring this year.
Well, and that's part of the conundrum for folks who aren't Astros or Braves fans watching this World Series and choosing which team to root for. They don't want to root for the Astros because of the cheating scandal, but they love Dusty Baker so much that they find themselves pulling for the Astros just so Dusty can be a world champion.
So Dusty and Yordan wasn't there in 2017. There's two reasons right there, haters. Come on, haters. We're trying to bring you onto the bandwagon. And if we can't, we can at least give out a high five. Let's do this thing. The high five play of the day, complete with that music, which just makes you feel good and happy. High five play of the day, appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in Austin. When Shannon's not playing ring toss with bourbon bottles at cover 3, you might find her at High Five axe throwing or enjoying some of the great food, great drinks, food specials, drink specials. What else they got going on there? Big screen TVs everywhere. So you can watch, Astros World Series, Austin FC when they're on the road, whatever you're looking for. Great games, axe throwing, bowling, Laser tag, anything else about high five you want to add before we deliver a high five?
Lots of arcade games, including, especially if you're out at that Lakeway location, different versions of hoop opportunities.
Nice.
One is like a tic-tac-toe version. I think that one's a lot of fun. But it is hoop season, so you gotta keep in form, get your form going. So it's a great way to go and do that and enjoy all things high five. And hoops is the topic of our high five today, Chris. The Lakers played Oklahoma City last night. They came off of that Spurs win. I guess they thought they were going to ride high because they did have a 26-point lead at one point. They ended up blowing it and losing to Oklahoma City Thunder 123-115. Russell Westbrook also ejected during that game. And a star was born, Chris. Josh Giddey, a 19-year-old for Oklahoma City, earned his first double-double with 18 points and 10 assists. LeBron, who still was not playing for the Lakers last night, is the only player in NBA history to record 10 assists at an earlier age, at the age of 18. And of course, LeBron was able to forego college, unlike the kids today. So pretty incredible. High five to that young man could be the face of the franchise. Who knows? I think they kind of need one in OKC these days. And I think for Spurs fans, seeing the Lakers turn around and lose, it's got to feel a little bit better, right?
Well, and if Josh Giddey becomes the face of the franchise, Shannon, he's going to be the baby face of the franchise. I'm looking at him right now. He's 19 years old and kind of similar to Josh Primo of the Spurs, who was 18, a rookie as well. And oh, by the way, some news yesterday, Josh Primo was sent, and we knew this was coming, to the Austin Spurs. So you Austin peeps, go look at a guy who I think is going to be a superstar, 18-year-old Josh Primo of the Spurs. But I'm looking at Josh Giddey, and just like Josh Primo is 18 and he looks 14. I'm looking at Josh Giddey right now. Josh Giddey is 19 and he looks about 15. Young. Yeah. And again, Shannon, when I was 18 or 19, I was hanging out in front of the Fast Gas drinking beer on the back of somebody's pickup truck, and these guys are making big noise in the NBA at that age. That is just so cool for them.
I mean, I don't know what team it is, but I saw the quotes of LeBron, who recently had a game where he played his son's former teammate.
Whoa.
And where, his son is about to be in the league.
Bronny.
And that's everyone's thought, is that LeBron is hanging on so he can play with his son. But he said it was a real moment that he was playing against someone that his son used to play with.
Very cool. See, I want the Spurs to draft Bronny James, and then LeBron comes and plays for the Spurs for the league minimum just to play, and he likes pop. So we could have LeBron and Bronny and Josh Primo.
Do you get that jersey?
Absolutely. That would be just historic.
Okay.
I would get that jersey. Very cool. I do love the name too, Josh Giddey. I imagine he got giddy last night when he had his big game with his double-double. There was a pitcher who came on the mound for the Braves last night, and his name was Smiley, and he gave up. He gave up some hits and some runs, and my wife and I, of course, mocking the TV as we do throughout any sporting event. Oh, you're not so smiley now, are you, Mr. Smiley? I don't see you smiling, Smiley.
I'm sure he's never heard that.
I know, especially baseball. I mean, baseball, you probably get more heckles that you can hear, certainly than football, and maybe more, or maybe not. Basketball, they're more on top of you. But yeah, if your name is Smiley or Giddy, you want to keep smiling or be giddy.
But it's great marketing if you do become, a superstar.
Well, speaking of marketing. Did you see it? He had a good game last night for the Astros. Jose Siri. I got to believe if he has a great World Series, Shannon, Apple has got to sign Jose Siri to do some Apple Siri commercials. Come on, it's perfect.
Does Apple
Siri?
But does Apple, thinking of their commercials, have they ever used an endorser like that? I think they've all been like regular people. They'll use a song.
Yeah, I mean, they're so Apple, it just sells it. Other than when Steve Jobs was alive.
But it would make sense if they were to do it, that he should be the first.
Yeah, especially during the World Series. And again, it took till like the 4th or the 5th inning for Joe Buck and John Smoltz. I kept waiting for some Siri, the voice of Apple, the Siri reference. And I think at one point Joe Buck goes, yeah, we should ask Siri how long it took him to run to first base on that hit. And then, Schmaltz goes, you mean ask Siri or ask Siri? And so obviously that's talk about jokes that he's never heard before.
And thinking of this, my quick marketing scheme for this is, Apple now has like the Google Home or Alexa version, I think it's like Apple Home, and they have new colors and designs coming out for the holidays, of course, that they should enlist him, bring him in. And then he's sitting there in his living room admiring his championship ring or his championship whatever. I don't know if they'll have their rings that soon. But saying, hey, Siri, what was the final score of the World Series between the Braves and the Astros? And then it answers him. End of commercial. You're welcome.
That's tremendous. Or he's just sitting at home minding his own business, and somebody's always asking him just questions like, hey, Siri, what is the capital of Zimbabwe? I'm trying to watch TV over here.
I mean, it's literally like, I feel like those things were created for the people who ask questions who apparently don't know what the internet is.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like, stop asking me, ask the smart speaker.
And to be honest, Shannon, I've had an iPhone for ever, probably at least 10 years, and I've got a MacBook. I've probably used the Siri function less than 10 times in I always forget it's there. And you're right. I got the internet. If I want to search something, I'll type it in. I don't need to ask Siri. Yeah. I'll bet you I've used it less than 10 times in my life. And I've had Apple products for over a decade.
The only time I quote unquote use Siri is like my watch. I accidentally like bump the button and then it goes off and I'm like, damn it, Siri. And then she's like, what did you say?
But I have heard during the baseball postseason that some people's Siri device, because when they say, Siri is at bat, and I've heard that people's Siris have lit up on their iPhone or on their smart devices. So Jose Siri, baby, I'm expecting big things from you and Yordan Alvarez. And how can you? Jose Siri wasn't there in 2017. Yordan Alvarez, Dusty Baker. Come on, haters. There's room for you you can do both. You can pull for these guys and revel in your hatred for Altuve and Correa and Bregman. All right. That was a weird segment. Coming up, we got some highlights from last night's Game 2 of the World Series. We will get into some highlights. We'll talk some NFL football. There is some Dak Prescott question marks. There are forget grammar on this show. There are some Dak Prescott question marks. Will he play Sunday night against the Vikings? We'll get into that. Shannon's salty shakedown and a whole lot more in the 7:00 hour. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! 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 John, I think I've been through Smiley, Texas. It rings a bell. I know there is a Smiley, Texas. That is hilarious. Robert Browning just said, OMG, Chris Duel, I'm not making this up. When you yelled, hey, Siri, what is the capital of Zimbabwe? My wife's iPhone answered. That is hilarious. Wow. Fumfoot 420. On Halloween, going to be a Harley Quinn, a French maid, and a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. How are you going to be all three? Do you have like 3 separate Halloween events that you're going to? I like it, though. I like not just sticking with one costume, going with 3. And I'm sure the French maid and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader will turn a few heads. Without question. I think I need some 3 parties. Very nice. Wear a mask. I always tell people, assume everybody there has COVID because probably 20% of the people, 1 in 5, have it. I think a lot of people are, COVID's over, man. Nothing to worry about. Be careful. That's all I'm saying. Unless Cole Beasley's there, then cough in his face. I'll be back. Let's see. Instead of Instead of Mike Taylor, I give you Bryn Forbes wearing a mask. See that, foam foot? Bryn Forbes wearing a mask. Thank you, Bryn, for filling in. I do appreciate it, sir. I'll be right back. Thank you, Bryn, for filling in. One of these days, not only on Cinco de Mayo are we going to do the whole show in Spanish, someday we'll do the whole show in poetry, in rhyme. Thank you, Bryn, for filling in. Woo! Thank you, Bryn Forbes. Appreciate it, man.
AD's call in this next segment.
Okay. Yes, sir. Good idea. Thank you. And highlights, I guess we'll go in order that you gave me. The three, and then you've got, did you say you've got post-game interviews?
Yeah, one with Dustin Baker. So go Travis, then Maldonado, then Altuve, then
Dusty. Then Dusty, okay. Got a phone call. AD Ibarra going to join us. We got highlights from last night's game. Today is National First Responder Day. It's National Chocolate Day. I hope to get to those. It's Plush Animal Lovers Day. That's a little weird. Well, I guess that's stuffed animals, but it said plush. It's Wild Foods Day. So again, I'm just going to double check. So I'm looking at the cues right now. It's Travis d'Arnaud home run first, then Martin Maldonado for the 4-1 lead, then Jose Altuve with the home run, then Dusty Baker. Cool, man. Thank you. Woo! Woo! See, we got a contest coming at 7:20, and then at 8:20, and then as we wrap the first half hour of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll do the Ron White ticket giveaway. That's so funny. I'm reading the comment again. Robert Browning's wife's Siri went off when we were talking about Siri. All right. Here we come.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day.
Chris Duel.
It is a weird but a glorious Thursday morning. Weird in that in the previous segment, Shannon and I were talking about Jose Siri of the Houston Astros, who had a pretty good game last night. And in Tokyo, Japan, Robert Browning, who is listening to the show on the iHeartRadio app and on the live video feed in Tokyo, Japan, his wife's iPhone Siri answered what the capital of Tanzania is. That was weird. So that's the weird part. Glorious in that the Houston Astros are back in the series. We got ourselves a World Series as the Houston Astros defeat the Los Angeles. I wish it was the LA Dodgers. That'd be even more fun. But I'll take it. The Atlanta Braves last night, 7-2. In a moment, we will provide some highlights. So, Shannon, I know it's our poll question. In fact, let's go ahead and tell people what the poll question is. Then we'll get how you voted in today's poll question.
Yeah, now that the World Series is tied at 1-1, who goes on to win? Astros in 5 or 6, currently leading the way with 50% of the vote. Braves in 5 or 6, 16% of the vote. Astros in 7, 25% of the vote. And Braves in 7, 8% of the vote. So most of those votes still going towards the Astros to get the overall win. Chris, I am in the Astros in 5 or 6 category, myself being in 6. I'm going to stay true to my original prediction. I feel a lot better about it, having won game 2, having things tied back up. I think 5 is too little. And I'd ask Harge tomorrow because I know Harge changed his to be different.
Yeah.
I feel like you may be regretting it now.
So yeah. And to recap, you had Astros in 6. So did I. So did Dave. Mike Hardball Harge, who joins us tomorrow at 8:10, had Astros in 5 to be different. Taylor Estes of Horns 24/7 had Astros in 6. And Scott Manziera got his pick in before game 1, has Braves in 6. I am, for the purposes of this poll, I now kind of feel more like a 7-game series is coming. So in the poll, I said Astros in 7, but my official pick, like yours, is Astros in 6. In a moment, we've got some highlights from last night's game 2 of the World Series. But right now, let's get a phone call. You are always welcome to join us on the phone lines at 800-707-9760. That's what AD is doing right now. Hey, AD, you're on the air. How you doing this morning?
Chris, Robert Browning was my student in junior high. So, hey, Robert.
That is crazy. What a crazy small world, AD. He's in Tokyo this morning, and he was your student. And what junior high, what middle school was it?
Eagle Pass Junior High.
Eagle Pass Junior High. Nice. What was the were they the Eagles? Were they the Eagle Pass Eagles? What was the mascot?
Yeah, the mascot is Eaglets because they're the little eagles.
Eaglets. I like it. Cool.
And then some of my other students, Ale, Leo, and Eric, took their father to the United States Grand Prix this past weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, they ran into the quarterback of the team that was in the longest yard, the bad guys, Will Fickner.
Oh, that's random, but very, very cool.
And then y'all were talking about the stars, man. Mike Madonna, Brett Hull, Joe Neuendijk, Eddie the Eagle. Man, I remember them. I even have a jersey.
Now, is it a Dallas Stars or is it a Minnesota North Stars jersey? How far back do you go?
It was the Dallas Stars. I actually went and saw them in the mid-'90s, but they actually won the Cup. I think it was in '99. Bob and Turgeon and Morrow and all of that.
Yeah, hockey in person. When you go see hockey in person, for anybody who hasn't, it is awesome in person. To me, AD, it loses a little on TV, but I mean, like you went to games, you had a connection with the Dallas Stars, you became a fan. So that's very, very cool. That's a big deal. So you and Shannon have that in common. You're Dallas Stars fans.
I call it high speed on ice.
Very cool.
And the reason I call is because my baby, is recovering from her reconstructive shoulder surgery, and she let me know this morning, big news, Mark Ingram is coming back to the Saints.
That, we didn't talk about that yet, AD and Shannon. Let's get a comment. What are the Houston Texans having a fire sale? It's like, if you're good, do the Texans then blow you out so they can get the number one? What the heck is going on with the Houston Texans?
It's feeling like a bit of a fire sale for sure with Mark Ingram going back to the Saints, and then Brandon Cooks announcing very shortly thereafter his frustration with that via Twitter, and he's also being rumored to possibly be sent elsewhere, maybe even the Chiefs. So it does feel that way. And for Brandon Cooks, you have to also feel bad that like they are getting rid of seemingly everyone, and he's still left to like deal with the that is the Houston Texans this season.
Wow. So AD, have we now? I know your daughter; she's a Saints fan. Are you a Saints fan as well?
That's why she is. It's been a long and winding road, Chris. I mean, we had a lot of years of losing, but we never ever failed. I mean, we are Saints fans forever. Another one, Chris. We have a little boy from Eagle Pass High School who is going to state in cross country. He qualified this past Monday. His name is OJ Ruiz. Good luck.
Yeah, OJ Ruiz, did I get that right? Ruiz?
Yes, sir.
AD, I have a special place in my heart for cross-country runners because in high school, I had no skills. It's like no hand-eye coordinate. I sucked at baseball. I sucked at tennis. I was at like 140 pounds, so I couldn't really play football. I'd have gotten killed. The only thing I could do was run cross-country. It was like, run, Forrest, run. So at Holmes High School, in the late 1970s, I was a cross-country runner. So OJ Ruiz, I have a special place in my heart for that dude.
And now it's time for your Spanish lesson.
Spanish lesson. And by the way, Cinco de Mayo, Shannon and I doing the entire show in Espanol. And I've also decided I got to figure out when I got to find out, AD, when National Poetry Day is. We're going to do the entire show in rhyme. So I'm kind of looking forward to that as well. All right, hit me with a Spanish lesson.
Well, last night Urquidy had 7 strikeouts.
Sí.
So
Siete.
So what they say in Spanish is he made 7 guys bite the dust. So you ready?
Yes.
Los mandó a morder.
Al morder. I can't roll the R's yet. I got to work on that, AD. Los mandó al morder.
El polvo.
El polvo. And what did we just say, AD?
He sent them to bite the dust.
He sent them to bite the dust. Jose Urquidy was pretty badass last night for the Astros.
Oh, I love that term. That's right.
How do you say badass? How do you say, is there an equivalent to badass in Spanish?
Oh man, that's a good one. I'll think about it. But you know that Dusty Baker calls. You were talking about Jordan Alvarez. He calls him grande.
Nice. That dude is big. He looks like Big Papi or something. I mean, some people say he looks like Babe Ruth. I mean, he's just a big dude.
And then there's a kid from Uvalde on the Astros.
From Uvalde? Who is that?
Brooks Raley.
I did not know that. Very nice. I love it when Astros are originally from Texas. That's a cool thing.
Man, you got me on badass. I will think about that, and I'll continue your show. Thanks for letting me hang.
Absolutely, AD. Thanks for the call. As always, thanks for not only the Spanish lesson, but an Astra from Uvalde, OJ Ruiz running cross country from Eagle Pass doing state, and got us going on the Mark Ingram story, which is a big deal. The Houston Texans, if you show talent on that Houston Texans football team, they will ship you out, DeAndre Hopkins. And we will, speaking of Texans, the other big story, former Texan, J.J. Watt, his season looks done for the Arizona Cardinals on a night tonight when they take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. We will get into that. But right now, let's relive some of the glory of last night's game between the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves. I truly believe, we talked about it yesterday, it was a must-win for the Astros. They could not go down 0-2 in this World Series. That would just be, I think, too big of a mountain to climb. Now, the Astros did score in the bottom of the first inning. Bregman hit a sacrifice fly to center field that scored Jose Altuve. Altuve would later homer. We'll hear that in a moment. But in the top of the second inning, with the Astros leading 1-0, Travis d'Arnaud came up to the plate for the Atlanta Braves, and he took one out of the park.
That's hammered into left field, and this game is tied. Home run, Travis d'Arnaud.
D'Arnaud, easy for Joe Buck to say. But by the time the bottom of the second inning rolled around, the Houston Astros were going to make a lot of noise. Martin Maldonado, not known for his hitting, known for his defense, known for his catching. I kind of cringe when he comes to the plate, but he took care of business, and he helped the Astros open up a big lead in the second inning.
Left side, base hit. Here comes Gurriel. He'll score. Gone to third with nobody there. Is Siri. He pops up, comes to the plate. 2-run score. 4-1. Astros on top.
And Jose Siri, just a great celebration when he came around and slid into the plate last night. As I say many times here, my favorite Houston Astro is Jose Altuve. Bottom of the seventh inning, with the Astros leading 6-2. Jose Altuve, who had been in a slump, did what we're used to seeing Jose Altuve do.
And that's into left. Altuve's got another.
Jose Altuve! I love Jose Altuve. Astros win 7-2. Let's get a couple of post-game comments from In Dusty We Trusty Astros skipper Dusty Baker.
Expect to do good. I found that out last year. We had some guys struggling, and they said, well, wait till the playoffs. And we barely squeaked in, and they said, hey, man, we're going to turn it on in the playoffs.
That's a huge point, Shannon. Last year's playoffs, in that 50-game shortened season, the Astros were sub 500. They did squeak into the playoffs and went deep against the Tampa Bay Rays in the ALCS, which at the time was the Astros' fourth consecutive ALCS. Of course, now we know they went to 5 in a row this year against Boston. So, that's kind of what the Braves are right now. Braves didn't make a lot of noise during the regular season. They win 88 games, but they're hot at the right time. And I think we got us a pretty darn good World Series now at 1-1.
Yeah, which is interesting because in reading some of the reviews from last night, and they've taken both games now that we've seen into account, they're like, we're not getting the drama that we usually get out of a World Series. It's not that close. The game is decided early on. The difference in scores has been much larger than in years past. I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like, and maybe that's just me because I go to bed before it's over, knowing that it's over before it's over.
Yeah.
I
did not want any drama last night. I couldn't take it last night.
And it's game 1 and game 2. Like there'll be drama. There's time.
Yeah. I can't imagine that we're going to get through this one without any drama. We are coming up on 7:20. So let's go ahead and give away another $1,000. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. We do it all day, starting at 6:20 all the way till 9:20 at night. You get a keyword. We tell you where to text it. You do that, and you are in the running for $1,000. Somebody's going to win it. It may as well be you. Here it is.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword WORK to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WORK to 200-200.
Work is the keyword. Text that one off, and you get a chance at $1,000. We'll do that again at 8:20. Also, before 8:30, we're going to give away another pair of comedian Ron White concert tickets. He's coming to the Majestic Theater in San Antonio in February, but we've got those tickets right now, and you could win them today or tomorrow, as we'll give away those tickets tomorrow as well. We alluded to this, Shannon, a couple of stories involving either current or former Houston Texans. We talked about, and AD brought it up on the phone call, Mark Ingram being shipped off to his former team, the New Orleans Saints. Wide receiver Brandon Cooks taking to Twitter, none too happy about it. Now we hear that former Texans defensive end, former face of the franchise, arguably, J.J. Watt, who, as we know, signed with the Arizona Cardinals over the offseason. We learn overnight he will now undergo what is likely to be season-ending shoulder surgery. You know, he just had that game against the Houston Texans. It was interesting to see him go against his old team. We kind of thought we'd see him tonight on Thursday Night Football as the undefeated Arizona Cardinals take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. But, and this is Shannon, this is why I love J.J. Watt, don't get me wrong, but when you sign an older player to an expensive contract, unless that older player is named Tom Brady, one of the things you risk, you know, father time is undefeated. Older players are more likely to get hurt more readily than a young dude in his mid to early 20s. And this is kind of what the Arizona Cardinals are learning the hard way right now.
Yeah, and not only an older player, but an older player who has a history of injuries. And a lot of them have been freak injuries. A lot of them just, I mean, he's just got that unlucky, for as good as he is, as much, you know, work he puts into his craft and as good as that's made him on the field, he just has this unlucky streak of injury after injury. And he comes back and you know, he'll be 33 next March, going into the next season. I think he signed a 2-year deal. You got to start wondering if and when he's going to call it quits on the playing career, you know, I feel bad for him because not only is he injured, but he goes to this team who I don't think by any means anyone thought they would be where they are right now at the beginning of the season, or even when they added JJ and other players to that roster this offseason. But they are where they are. It looks really good. They look to at least make the playoffs. And, you know, should they make a run, JJ now won't be a part of that. And, you know, watch them end up winning the Super Bowl. And JJ, this guy who's got almost every other honor he could receive, would still get that Super Bowl ring, but it wouldn't feel like he, I guess, earned it in a way.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the Cardinals 7-0, and that game is at State Farm Stadium in Glendale tonight. Now the Packers, Devontae Adams out. They've got some COVID issues themselves. And it's so weird, Shannon, you know, now as a Cowboys fan, and I want, you know, the Cowboys are looking up at the Arizona Cardinals, Cowboys with 1 loss, Cardinals, as we mentioned, 7-0, Packers with 1 loss. I got to pull for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers tonight. I need the Arizona Cardinals to lose a couple games, although the Cowboys have a head-to-head game against the Cardinals. So you could argue the Cowboys control their own destiny against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one just because I haven't really been able to watch a lot of Cardinals just because of the TV scheduling and location and all that. But this one tonight, and it's interesting, you said the State Farm is their sponsor of their.
Yeah.
You got Aaron Rodgers, Mr. State Farm himself. I mean, for a guy who says he owns the Bears, I mean, you would think that he would then own anything with State Farm attached to it. It'll be interesting to I don't like rooting for the Packers, so that's going to be a hard one. I'm just going to hope for a good game.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys who, over the years,
he's done us dirty, Chris, so many times.
True. He owns the Cowboys. He's forced us out of the playoffs a couple times. I mean, I don't like what I hear about him. The fact he doesn't talk to his parents anymore. He doesn't talk to his brother. Obviously, he's kind of a diva, but it's so weird. And again, the older he gets, and now just kind of seeing what he's just gone through with the Packers not telling him they were moving up in the draft to draft quarterback Jordan Love. I'm kind of, in a weird way, kind of liking Aaron Rodgers more than I used to like him, which is where I am on time. I totally flipped on Brady. I was not a Brady fan at all, and now I really am. So now, as we talk about the Cowboys, Shannon, and they're, you know, trying to catch Arizona, they've got to also catch Tampa Bay, even though Tampa has 1 loss as well. The Cowboys' 1 loss is to Tampa Bay, so they got to finish ahead of Tampa Bay in the standings because Tampa Bay would have that tiebreaker. We're hearing word out of Dallas that even though Dak Prescott had limited participation. He did participate in practice yesterday. He does have that calf issue on the final play against the New England Patriots when he threw the touchdown pass to CD Lamb. Then they had the bye week, and everybody thought, all right, Dak's going to be fine. But apparently there's still some question marks about that calf.
Yeah, there's been a couple of quotes, and they're saying Cooper Rush will get some reps with the ones regardless of Dak's status for the game. And CD Lamb, said, I don't know what his workload is, but he seems fine to me. They did say we're glad there was a bye week, because had we had a game last week, he probably would not have played. But I think signs right now are pointing to him playing. And you think of our run game right now, Cowboys, that 1-2 punch in Elliott and Pollard. I think we'll rely heavily on that, maybe even more so. And I'm looking at, okay, well, what if Cooper Rush plays? He hasn't played since 2019. He hasn't thrown a pass since 2017.
Oh, God.
And when he did that, he was 1 for 2.
And
that was just in garbage time.
Wow.
So, not super confident in our chances should Cooper Rush be the guy. Because then that, to me, when you put a guy like Cooper Rush in, it's like, okay, we know they're going to run the ball over and over and over. At least if you put Dak back there, you still have to cover the outside. My goodness, Cooper Rush. Why? Why are we still in this situation?
That is the Sunday night game that we now know will be opposite Game 5 of the World Series. Vikings are 3-3. Although, and I don't like him, Kirk Cousins, Shannon, and I know we're up against a break, but I saw a stat yesterday. Kirk Cousins and Dak combined, they're like 77% of their passes combined this year. Kirk Cousins, even though the Vikings are 3-3, Kirk Cousins having a pretty good year throwing the football.
But historically, Kirk Cousins does not win in primetime.
There you go.
He has like one primetime win. That was like his first one. I think it came last year, maybe.
Yeah.
He does not win in primetime.
We need to keep that going.
In our favor. He doesn't perform well under pressure. I guess he's a shy guy. The millions of viewers, especially when you think of how many are going to be watching the Cowboys, it's going to get to him.
I hope so. You like that. You like that. I hope it gets to him. All right, coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown for a Throwback Thursday. This day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. Lots to talk about all morning long. Astros even up the World Series at a game apiece with their 7-2 win last night. Giving away another $1,000 at 8:20. Giving away Ron White concert tickets at about 8:25. We'll talk more college football. We'll talk a little NBA as well. Lots going on in the world of sports. We're all over it. She's the salty one. Dave Ayler making the show go. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. The Who. Lucinda Sullivan, good morning. Lucinda with the coffee emoji. Got a little coffee there. Got more coffee in my Strato tanker. Lucinda, I'm hearing good things about Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts, like it's all working out. Carlos Noel Gomez Jr. says he believes the Astros Rayleigh, who is from Uvalde, that his parents went to McCullum High School in San Antonio, the McCullum Cowboys, who I remember Holmes High School. We would play McCullum, and they have very similar, Holmes High School is green and gold. I think McCullum is either green and gold or green and yellow, or at least they were back in the 70s. And so they had very similar uniforms. Lucinda, a big Colts fan, says at least the Colts have a pulse now. Who do the Colts play this week? I knew that. I've got to go look that up. Titans. Colts 3-4. Titans 5-2. That's a high noon game on CBS at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Yeah, Colts win that one, and they're right back in the thick of things. So that'll be big. All right. Let's see. Give you some more Bryn Forbes. Your viewing pleasure. Ren Forbes wearing the mask for Halloween. That's muy importante. Back in a flash. And it's on to coffee and iced tea. Woo! Woo, woo, woo! Thank you, Bryn. Thanks for being with us. Uh-oh, we may have a bet here. Jason says Cardinals beat the Packers 32-17. Foamfoot 420 wants to bet, Jason. John Williams says Jerry Jones is saying the Cowboys are taking precautions with Dak Prescott. Man, can you imagine if they held him out of that one? Or worse, if he got hurt? That would not be good. Uh-oh. We may have a bet here between Jason and Foamfoot 420. Luckily, Jason's on. So when I mention Foamfoot or Jason, they're on YouTube. So the people on Facebook don't see their comments because they're on a different platform. Yet we see their comments here, which is weird. But what's going on? Woo! Woo!
Join in by dialing 1-800-707-9760.
That's the number. Not only to talk to us like AD did about a half an hour ago on the phone line, but that number, you're going to need it if you want to win the Ron White tickets. We'll give those away at about 8:25, less than an hour from now. Comedian Ron White coming to the Majestic Theater in San Antonio, which is a tremendous concert venue, whether it's for music or comedy or whatever. So that's coming up. We're giving away those tickets all week long. So you get a shot today and you get a shot tomorrow as well. Dave Ayler making the show go. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. We are moments away from her salty shakedown. But first, how about a little sports birthdays? And it is October 28th. What about this day in sports history? 1959. On this day in 1959, the American Football League awarded the Buffalo Bills franchise to Ralph C. Wilson. That kind of worked out. Good move, Ralphie. On this day in 1962, New York Giants quarterback Y.A. Tittle passes for 7 touchdown passes against the Washington football team. They win that game 49-34, Giants over Washington. On this day in 1995, the Atlanta Braves beat the Cleveland Indians 1-0 in Game 6 at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium to win their 3rd World Series title. The MVP was their starting pitcher, Tom Glavine. So I'm glad the Braves aren't playing the Astros today because this is a historically good day for the Braves. We don't like that. On this day in 1997, the NBA announces the hiring of Dee Cantor and Violet Palmer as the first women to officiate a major league all-male sports league. So the NBA did that before anybody else. Way to go, NBA. Finally, on this day in 2011, 10 years ago tonight, Dave Ayler was a happy man because his St. Louis Cardinals beat the Texas Rangers 6-2 in Game 7 at Busch Stadium to win the Cardinals' 11th title. The MVP was Cardinals' third baseman David Freese. Dave Ayler, do you remember where you were 10 years ago tonight when the Cardinals won Game 7 against the Rangers?
Of course, I was watching it on TV. It was the Texans walked in like 2 or 3 runs in 1 inning. The Texans were a mess that night.
Yeah, Texas at Game 7, they were that close.
Yeah,
Ron Washington as the manager, and Ron Washington's now part of that Braves coaching staff.
Oh, they're guaranteed to lose now.
I saw some photos last night of Ron Washington talking with Dusty Baker before the game. But, man, what a heartbreaking way to lose for the Texas Rangers 10 years ago tonight. What a great win for Dave Ayler's St. Louis Cardinals. 7 games over the Texas Rangers.
And so far, their last World Series title.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, they went to the World Series in 2013, but lost to the Red Sox.
My goodness. Wow, that could be, you're almost another 20 years and you'll be like a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, they're
But
overdue.
I can't believe it's been 30 years. What's going on, man? At least you went to another World Series. Cowboys haven't even sniffed another NFC championship game. Not that I'm bitter. All right, that's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Thank you, John. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Yoko. Thank you, Ringo. Thank you, Olivia Harrison. Thank you, Patty Boyd, all the Beatles' wives and girlfriends everywhere, even if Eric Clapton stole your woman, George. That would be Patty Boyd. By the way, the Beatles Get Back 3-part, 3-night, I believe it's on Hulu, documentary coming out in November. And November's only about 4 days away. But I think it's late November. It's around Thanksgiving. Here's your sports birthdays. Born on this day in 1926, Bowie Kuhn, or Kuhn, Kuhn. He was the commissioner of baseball from 1969 to 1984. Before that, he was an attorney. He was born in Tacoma Park, Maryland in 1926. Bowie Kuhn passed away in 2007. Born on this day in 1937, NBA point guard who went on to be a head coach in the NBA, Lenny Wilkens, coached the Seattle Supersonics, among other teams, also played for the Sonics, I do believe. Lenny Wilkens was born in Brooklyn, New York. And finally, born on this day in 1949, Caitlyn Jenner, who I know a lot of you Kardashian fans know as Caitlyn, but Caitlyn was born Bruce Jenner, now a prominent transgender figure. In fact, I think she ran for the governor of California recently. Didn't win, but that's a big deal. As Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn was a decathlete in the 1976 Montreal Olympics, won Olympic gold in the decathlon. And I remember Bruce Jenner on the Wheaties box, on the box of Wheaties cereal. It was a big, big deal. Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, was born in Mount Kisco, New York. Them's are your sports birthdays and your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, on a Throwback Thursday, if you're in your car, fasten your seatbelt, both hands upon the wheel, take a deep breath, and chant your mantra throughout, because it could drive you a little crazy sometimes. Here it is, your salty shakedown.
Well, Chris, during sports history, you mentioned the Cleveland Indians, who are now known as the Cleveland Guardians. The second they did not make the postseason, they changed over to the Cleveland Guardians. And when this name was first announced, that this would be the name that they were going to go with, we were made aware that there's already a Cleveland Guardians team in Cleveland. They are a roller derby team, and they were not pleased with the name change for the MLB team of the city of Cleveland. Well, now that roller derby team has officially sued the new Cleveland Guardians because they say there cannot be two teams of the same name in the same city. They say that back in June, the former Indians reached out to them, even asked for their logos to make sure that there wasn't any intellectual property stolen, and that they also tried to, they're willing to sell it, but they didn't like what they were going to be paid for the name. So now they're taking them to court. Chris, in your mind, this feels very David and Goliath-y going on here with the big bad brand that is MLB and the millions and billions of dollars that they will have going against this roller derby team. I don't know how much they offered them, but I'm starting to think it was probably a significant amount considering what they would probably normally bring in, and now they're going to be spending all this money to take them to court just to keep their name. I mean, if anything, this is making them more relevant. Your thoughts?
Your final point is big. This makes the Guardians roller derby team even more relevant.
Roller derby team?
Yeah. I hate to see so many lawsuits. We live in such a litigious society. It'd be so much better if the Guardians roller derby team came to some kind of an accord with the new Guardians baseball team where they cross promoted and were friends with each other. And maybe even, we put a roller derby track out and have some promotions throughout the baseball season with the roller derby team. I don't know. It's too bad, but you're right. I mean, who has the most money to lawyer up? That would be the baseball team. So I hope you got some cash on hand, Guardians.
I just don't feel like this is going to end very well for the roller derby team. I think they certainly have a case. They do have the trademarks, but it's you're going against something I think that you're not going to be able to overcome there. All right, moving on to the football world. Dallas Cowboys leading the NFC East by a lot with that 5-1 record. Everyone else sitting at 2-5, including the Philadelphia Eagles, who, as a Cowboys fan, I love to hate on them. So we're going to hate on them a little bit today because, as we've seen in recent weeks, they too, a bit like the Texans, seem like they're having a bit of a fire sale. They willingly trade Joe Flacco, who was backup quarterback, but a veteran who is former MVP, back to his team with the Jets. They send an unhappy Zach Ertz. Obviously, during the offseason, they thought they were going to trade him. He ends up coming back. But it just never felt like the Eagles were doing anything to keep the guy around, even though he is one of the best tight ends in the league. They sent him to the Arizona Cardinals. So a lot of people are questioning the Eagles and specifically Coach Nick Sirianni. So he had some explaining to do during his presser this week. And Chris, he said that this team, well, it's like a flower.
Huh.
You know, the results aren't there right now, but what's going on here is that there's growth under the soil. I put a picture of a flower up, right, and that it's coming through the ground, and the roots are growing out, and the roots are continuing to grow out, and everybody wants to see results. Shoot, nobody wants to see results more than us, right? We want to see results too, but it's really important that the foundation is being built and that the roots are growing out, and the only way the roots grow out every single day and they grow stronger and they grow better is if that we all water, we all fertilize, we all do our part. Each individual coach, each individual player, everybody in the building.
Hey, Wes.
Chris, this man is treating these players like they're kindergartners at lunchtime and they want to eat their dessert first. And the teacher's having to explain, well, because to grow and be stronger and be healthier, you need to eat your vegetables first. And then you get the reward at the end. But you have to do this first. Grown men walking into a locker room with a flower because they're all little flowers, Chris, and they're looking to grow. Coach Sirianni, you know that it's fall, right? Usually a lot of the flower growth takes place in the springtime, and that's when people are really into flowers. That's going to be the off season. Your thoughts, Chris? I mean, I love it. As a Cowboys fan, I'm all over this.
If you're a football coach, don't you instead use a metaphor of maybe a California redwood that starts as an acorn and then it grows into this mammoth tree that no one can chop down? Or maybe you could say a volcano. You could say maybe, a mountain begins, and there's some lava that erupts, and right now the lava is erupting, but then there'll be magma, and before you know it, it'll be Mount Kilimanjaro. So many other metaphors of nature dude could have used. Wow, a flower. Now, I got nothing against flowers. Flowers are cool, but for a football team, I don't know. I think he fails in the metaphor contest, I do believe.
I am very excited for these upcoming Eagles games, and hopefully opposing fans will be smart with their signage, maybe even bring some petals and throw them out. He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not. And, I mean, all the ways fans can go with this. I mean, just eat it up while you can. Finally today, Chris, very serious topic that I want to get to. And, you and I got together in December of 2020. So we weren't around in March 2020 when season 1 of this show was huge. It's the only thing everyone could talk about. I think most of us, including myself, watched it because what else were we doing at that time? Tiger King. Tiger King 2 was made official in September. Yesterday, we got the trailer. Its official release is November 17th. I didn't know there was more of this to come. I didn't expect more of this to come, especially when one Joe Exotic is currently in prison for murder for hire plot to kill Carol Baskin. Did you watch this show? And are you willing to watch season 2 now that we're not living in the same situation that we were in March of 2020?
I watched every episode of Tiger King. Joe Exotic, Carol Baskin. I could not get enough. I couldn't take my eyes off it. And you're right. I saw some still shots released yesterday, and it's like Joe Exotic in prison. I don't know how they're going to have this thing live up to what. And Joe Exotic did. I'm a little disappointed. He petitioned President Donald Trump for a pardon. And I thought on the way out the door, President Trump could have given Joe Exotic a pardon. I think that would have been cool.
I think he probably couldn't, like, what would Joe do for him? And he probably was like, nothing. So why would I?
He could have been on season 2. President Trump could have been on season 2 of Tiger King right now. It would have been beautiful. The big ceremony and coming down to Mar-a-Lago and thanking the president for the pardon. That would have been cool.
I feel like because I watched season 1 and the craziness that it was, I have to watch season 2. Culturally, I have to be relevant also. So it's for work.
So when does it drop? Do we know when season?
17.
Oh my God.
It's coming quick.
That's
and
soon.
The trailer released yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. There it is. Today's very serious ending to a salty shakedown.
Outstanding salty shakedown, man. The Eagles, the whole flower thing, the Guardians of Cleveland, and now Joe Exotic and Tiger King, which I did not realize drops in November. What a November it's going to be. And by the way, I was corrected that Beatles 3-part documentary called Get Back. I think I said it was going to drop on Hulu. I was wrong. One of our regular viewers and listeners on the live video stream, Gordon Weedman, who is a rocker and owns a record store, said that the Beatles Get Back 3-part documentary will drop on Disney Plus in November. So each episode being about 2 hours in length. Now I got to ask you, Shannon Salty Sweeney, Beatles before your time, you're not nearly the Beatles freak that I am. Are you going to check out the Beatles documentary in November when it drops?
It'll definitely be on my list. But there is a lot on my list right now. I'll be honest. I just got through binging a show, and now I'm in flux of like, what am I supposed to do now? Even though I have my list on my various platforms that are filled with plenty to watch. But I'm sure we'll be at it when I get to it. TBD. But for you, I will try to move it.
I'm going to be the moment it drops, and I'm going to go crazy.
Right?
I do. Yes.
Okay,
I do
good.
have. I got Disney Plus for Hamilton. When Hamilton dropped,
that's all you've watched?
Well, I've watched a few other things, but the reason I got Disney Plus originally was for Hamilton, and I watched Hamilton like 3 or 4 times and loved it. But so now, where on your list, Shannon? We talked about it in Squid Games. When are you? When am I? When are we gonna watch Squid Games?
We'll need to set something a little more hard and fast because that one hasn't even made it onto my list.
Really? See, it's on
I
my
haven't even
list.
gone as far to add it to a list. It's just, I mean, it pops up, so it's not like it's hard to find, but haven't added that one yet.
See, and again, it's such a cultural phenomenon, and the numbers of viewers are through the roof. I kind of feel like to be fluent in culture, I need to watch it just to know what people are talking about.
I feel like I get it. Like I get the whole, like what the game is, and I get how it works, and so far I'm understanding all of the jokes that I see, so I don't feel the need to like watch anything to understand what's going on. If that makes sense.
All right.
Already got it.
I'm still going to check it out. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'm going to check. What a November. I'm going to see Squid Games. A November to remember. Squid Games, Beatles, Joe Exotic, Tiger King. First, though, we got to wrap up this World Series, and we'll get into that. We'll talk more World Series. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up. Andy Everett, the voice of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners. We'll talk not only college football, but we'll talk a little golf and World Series with Andy. Your chance to win Ron White tickets and $1,000. Stick around till 9 with us on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Jason, but I got to do so much work when there's subtitles. I tend to, because a lot of times I'll be eating dinner when I'm watching programming. So to watch subtitles, I can't look down at what I'm eating. I know, first world problems. Jorge, I wish it was. Good question. Jorge says, is the World Series being moved from Georgia like the All-Star game? I don't think so, but it's a good question. Gordon no longer owns a record store, and now he works for another music company. Sorry, Gordon. I have a hard time keeping track of everybody's career moves. I'm sure you mentioned that before. I just somehow spaced on it. All right, so Foam Foot and Jason have a taco bet, apparently. And I still have not yet had Torchy's tacos. There's a couple of them now in San Antonio. I will sample them. There's one not far from where we are here at the station. There's one 281 near Stone Oak Parkway, which is not far from us. All right, I'm going to get some ice for my tea. Foam Foot, I watched Squid Games just the way it was shot. Okay, so I'm assuming subtitle. I'll be right back. Wes, I did see Clickbait on Netflix, and it is good. I would recommend Clickbait. Got a reply to a text from James Allen. Jason is hoping not to have Torchies. Anthony says, don't. Torchies sucks. I tried it once and it failed. Ouch. Wow. Foamfoot, if the Astros go to 7 games, I think I'm going to go to the game. Very cool. My God. I went to one of the games in 2017 at Minute Maid Park in the World Series against the Dodgers. Astros lost that game, but man, if you can go to a game 7 just from a historic perspective and an excitement perspective, that is pretty darn amazing if you can find a way to do that. Dave Emilio Castanuela says, go Stros, those bats came alive last night. Gordon says, important San Antonio music history on this day. Rush made their first San Antonio appearance at Randy's Rodeo on Bandera Road, October 28th, 1975. An estimated crowd of 2,000 to 2,500 attended the show, making it one of the largest crowds to attend a concert there. San Antonio's Heyoka opened the concert. Pretty nice. Dean Stone, welcome in. Let's see, we got the today is National Chocolate Day. very cool. Dean Stone recommending a Rush documentary on Netflix. Daniel Sosa Jr. joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Daniel, Don't be pulling for the Braves now. Now that you're in Atlanta, come on now. Here we come. 8 o'clock hour.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day is strong as the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the
Yeah, Foam Foot 420, you should exploit those assets. Here we go.
Now, Chris Duel.
A beautiful Thursday, October 28th in America, in Texas, and for the Houston Astros as they evened the World Series last night. One game apiece with the Atlanta Braves. They win 7-2. They erupted for 4 runs in the second inning. Jose Altuve with a home run later in the game. We are now at 1-1, and that series moves to Atlanta for the weekend. Game 3 will be tomorrow night, 3, 4, and 5. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. All first pitch start times, 7:09 p.m. In fact, tomorrow at this time, we will have our preview of game number 3 of the World Series. And nobody better to preview the World Series than our good friend, former professional baseball player, Mike Hardball Harge, who is now a big part of the Sports Grind, which you can hear right here, wherever you're listening to this program, either on the iHeartRadio app where it's crystal clear, or on AM 1300, The Zone out of Austin, or Ticket 760 out of San Antonio. The Sports Grind, Mike Hardball Harge, of course, Calvin Casey, Jonas Clark, and Sam Freese, who's a big part of the Mike Taylor Show, which is on from 4 to 7. Shannon, before we move on, and my thanks to Dave Ayler for letting us know this. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, Jeremy Fouts, our former soundscape stylist, and the Nostradamus of all things sports, Jeremy Fouts, used to provide us with this information. Today is National First Responders Day.
Good day.
That's a good day.
Good day.
Big shout out and a big thank you to all first responders.
That's something
Certainly
worthy of a day. Sometimes we get some not so worthy.
Yes.
This is very worthy.
I'm cool with that one. And we should all, if you see a first responder any day, but especially today, thank them, because that is often a thankless job and they're out there saving lives. And in the era of COVID, that makes it even tougher. Today is also National Chocolate Day. So give a first responder something chocolate. Then you cover 2 with 1, you know.
Yeah. Where are you in the chocolate debate? Because I think American chocolate is fine. I love a good Hershey's, whatever. But you go anywhere else in the world and they're like, it tastes horrible over there.
Oh, no. So are
And
you a chocolate snob?
No, chocolate's good over there, but I'm like, I kind of don't really like chocolate is chocolate. There's good chocolate and there's bad chocolate, and I don't think any of these are bad chocolate. I've had bad chocolate.
I don't know that I've ever had bad chocolate.
Huh?
I don't know that I've ever had bad chocolate and gone, ew, that's some bad chocolate. I've always kind of enjoyed it.
I was in Belize, and when we landed there, we had to walk to our boat, which was a long walk with wheeling suitcases, not the most fun. But there was a chocolate shop. Ooh. And I made sure when we were back in town that we went to said chocolate. I was like, I'm gonna do like the local thing. I'm gonna have some local chocolate, right? We're drinking the local beer. Let's have some local chocolate. Do not suggest it. Wasn't good. It wasn't even like too bittery. It was just nope, not for me.
My favorite ice cream ever was I don't even know if they make it anymore. It was Haagen-Dazs deep chocolate peanut butter. So it was like a deep, dark chocolate with like a huge swath of peanut butter throughout. I would just eat the whole darn pint. I couldn't just eat like a few bites or a cup. I would just give me the pint. I'll talk to you in about 10 minutes. And I'm woofing this down right now.
I've always thought it was weird that Haagen-Dazs, at least I've never seen them, they only have the pints. Like they don't have the half gallon. and for how people eat their ice
Right.
cream, you'd think that they do just fine selling it
Yeah.
in bigger portions.
It works for Bluebell. Bluebell likes
Yeah.
those pints. So, all right, two more. This is, and I didn't know what this was at first, and you may, because you're more cultured than I am, Shannon. Today is Plush Animal Lovers Day. And I was like, what's a plush animal? Do you know what that is?
Like a
plush
stuffed animal?
It's a stuffed animal, yeah. So why don't they say Stuffed Animal Day?
Because
plush
maybe
animal.
plush is more grown. Have you seen those octopuses that are popular right now?
No.
These plush octopuses, and on one side, it's just a very simple stitched in smiley face, and then on the other side, the octopus is a different color, and it's got a frowny face, and you
Ooh.
flip it based on how you're feeling, and they come in all like they have little tiny ones that I've seen people have in their cars, and then there's like these giant ones that you probably get from a Costco, right? I still don't understand the science of how you can flip them inside out and make them do that.
Yeah.
But I've seen them everywhere, and I don't get it. I mean, I have old like stuffed like a couple of stuffed animals from like when I was young that like mean something to me, but they're in boxes, and then one has a very specific job. It's on the floor in my bedroom under my bed, sitting on top of my electric extender that has a light on it that I don't want to see at night, so it covers the light. Very important position.
Oh, wow.
Very important role it's been sent to do.
And what kind of a stuffed animal is that covering the light under your bed?
A large Beanie Baby dog by the name of Muffin. He lost the Beanie Baby tag long ago, so he's not worth anything.
Muffin, the Beanie Baby dog.
Other than to cover the light that I don't want to see at night.
Finally, and this is not very exciting, but it is also today is Wild Foods Day. Wild Foods Day is a celebration of wild plants, fruits, vegetables. Humans have been eating plants and harvesting food from the wild for thousands of years, blah, blah, blah. So there's that. Wild Foods Day.
I'm not very adventurous in my foods. I will try something. I will eat it. But if I don't like it, never having it again.
Yeah. But I think it's good to try new stuff.
It's the weirdest thing you've ever tried.
Okay, now we have some University of Texas frat news.
Uh-oh.
And I don't have the name of the frat. I'm going to have to go look it up. But apparently, stolen dinosaur statues have been found at a UT Austin fraternity. Officials say 3 stolen dinosaur statues from just outside Austin were found on the campus. The dinosaur park owner says the large works of art were discovered yesterday morning at the fraternity. She says someone went to a frat party over the weekend, saw the dinosaurs, and called police. It's not known if anyone is under arrest in connection with the thefts.
This is a common occurrence, unfortunately, with UT frats. There was an incident a couple of years ago where they wanted to decorate up the house with Halloween, like the blow-up decorations.
Yeah.
What they did is they came to the neighborhood that I grew up in and stole all of the blow-ups at night. And then again, there was a party, someone went, and they're like, these are the same decorations that were just lifted from my parents' neighborhood. And they got caught, and it was, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, I guess, you're 18 to 22, you're in a frat, and you're supposed to
Stealing is fun.
stealing is fun. Push the boundaries a little bit.
I'm sure there was some alcohol involved in that too.
Yes. Some alcohol and maybe some hazing challenges of some kind.
It's like the Grinch of Christmas doing that, though.
Yeah. Yeah. When you steal somebody else's Christmas decorations, that ain't cool. A couple of other items, a Mickey Mantle, a ticket stub to the game. Mickey Mantle made his debut with the Yankees at that game, April 17th, 1951. A surviving ticket stub from that game was auctioned off. It became the second most valuable ticket ever auctioned. Shannon, what do you think the ticket stub to Mickey Mantle's first game in 1951, what do you think that auction went for that ticket stub? And remember, these aren't tennis shoes that Michael did.
Paper.
It's a little cardboard paper-ish ticket stub.
$15,000.
It went for $141,395. The only stub more valuable was from the 1903 World Series, which was auctioned from Charlie Sheen's collection And that's weird. And it went for $175,000.
The street value is probably $250,000.
That's true. I'm surprised Charlie didn't. I'm sure Charlie should have snorted it, chopped it up and snorted it. Fine. Finally, Shannon, before we get into more conventional sports news, do you know the website OnlyFans? Apparently, it's.
I'm aware of what it is. I've never been myself.
Apparently, I haven't been there either. But I guess women at OnlyFans, I guess they take money to model and take their clothes off, or God knows what. A model on the OnlyFans website, her name is Tori Lynn, says that Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf hit her up on the site and wanted a foursome. He requested a foursome with her, and supposedly she got angry because she started to drive to his home, and on the way over to his house, DK Metcalf, according to her, contacted her and called off the foursome. That led her to an angry rant that she posted on Snapchat along with photos. Apparently, so far, DK Metcalf has not responded to these allegations. But it does serve as a warning. You never know who is going to make it public when you request a foursome from them.
I thought that site was just for pictures.
I think
some people don't even this just got weird people that want pictures of feet or whatever. That makes it sound more like some soliciting that isn't very legal. What DK Metcalf did, which is maybe why he was like, "Oh, wait a minute, let me do this."
Maybe this isn't such a good idea.
But just stick to running really fast and catching the football.
Yeah,
DK.
And so there was DK Metcalf, the woman. We're still missing two other people.
Yeah, exactly. Who are the two other people? That's a great question. Thank you, Dave Ayler.
I mean, maybe he needs to explain something. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it was the other two people, and it was like, well,
we
can't do it if they're,
I was going to hold up my end of the bargain. Those other two people blew us off.
I'm just a messenger. Wow.
Yeah, so there's that. And apparently, Shannon, I know in your show notes, the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden apparently have reached a settlement. What do we know about that?
We don't know much other than that there has been a settlement reached. I'm curious to learn, and hopefully someone will dig it up, how much that was worth, because that contract was 10 years, $100 million.
My God.
What year was he in? Was this year 3 or 4?
Seems like 3, but it could be 3 or 4. Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I'm sure he still walked away with a nice chunk of change. But we don't know what that settlement. Did you see the pictures yesterday of Mark Davis, Raiders owner?
I did not.
So he was being interviewed, presser, but he was sitting in a chair and everyone else was standing around him. And obviously he has his hair that for whatever reason he won't get rid of.
That's kind of the bowl cut hair. It looks like somebody put a bowl on his head.
He wears sweatpants and t-shirts and whatever. So he's wearing a t-shirt and then he had a backpack on, but he was sitting down in the chair with his back. He looked like a little kid sitting at a bus stop waiting for his mom to come pick him up. And there he is. He's Mark Davis answering all these questions. And it's I can't take you seriously, bro.
Yeah. I have heard it said that Mark Davis is not the brightest bulb. I mean,
don't say.
Think about that. You just happen to be the son of Al Davis, and Al Davis croaks, so you inherit the now Las Vegas Raiders. There's nothing in the law that says you have to be a smart dude, but it's just weird. It's that, and I grew up watching the 70s Raiders. John Madden was the head coach, Ken Stabler at quarterback, throwing the ball to Cliff Branch. I mean, that was such almost, even though Jerry Jones keeps the Cowboys relevant and they still make more money than anybody else, but the Raiders were kind of the AFC equivalent to the Dallas Cowboys. They were dominant. People didn't like them, but they kept winning. They went to a bunch of Super Bowls. But ever since Al Davis kind of got a little older and was still running that team, back when he hired Gruden for the first time before he died, they kind of started losing and lost their relevance. It's one of those teams I especially now in Las Vegas, I would like to see that team, and they are actually this year playing pretty well. I just think that the league is better when the Raiders, because that fan base is so insane. I think the league is better when the Raiders are winning.
Oh, for sure. Especially now that they're in Vegas.
Yeah.
especially.
So now, John Gruden, what do you think? I mean, here's a guy who, even when he wasn't coaching, was very successful on television on the 4-letter network. Is this guy just going to go quietly into the sunset and we're never going to hear from him again? Or, and I'm seeing it's 8:20. I'll ask you that question after we do the giveaway. We do this on the 20s when I'm looking at the clock. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. You're going to get a keyword right now. We'll tell you where to text it. Then I'm going to ask Shannon, will we ever see John Gruden in the public eye again? Here's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest.
Your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword dollar to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's dollar to 200-200.
Good luck. And by the way, we do the contest on the 20s all day up until 9:20 at night. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm just wondering, Shannon, obviously, John Gruden has to be embarrassed, humiliated, angry. I mean, obviously, he had it coming. He said these things in the email, but if I were he, or if I were advising John Gruden, I would say, come out into the public. I'm sure, even though he said these ridiculous things, I'm sure he has friends, after all these years, friends of color who would back him up. People from these groups that he seemed to, or didn't seem to, but did disparage in these emails. If I were John Gruden, I'd say, look, I grew up this way. I blew it. I was wrong. I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of growing to do, but here's some of my friends who don't think I'm evil, and I'm going to do the best I can now to get, learn more and be a better human being and get along with these communities. What do you think is the next move publicly, if any, for John Gruden?
I think the reason we haven't really heard much from him is because there were 650,000 emails, and these were the ones that were released. There, unfortunately, is probably so much worse just within those findings, and there's a good chance at some point some of those are going to come out. And in the culture we live in, we're always about what's hot right now, and someone else does something worse. Doesn't make what he did better, but it could help people see him. Oh, maybe he's not that bad because compared to this guy, it's not that, And I've never really cared much for the guy, so when this came out, I can't say I was surprised. I was more surprised that he was stupid enough to put it in an email.
Yeah.
And stupid enough to do it when he was working at ESPN, right? That's more where I see surprise. Didn't he have a quote recently though about how the truth would be revealed or something?
Yeah, I did see that.
What does that mean? They
I
weren't
don't
your
know.
emails, or do you know what other emails there are, and you're hoping that those get leaked?
It's a good question.
That was
And,
very good.
in the news in the last few days, there former employees of the Washington football team now saying we want all the emails released. Of course, the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell are saying, nope, that's not going to happen. Not only are we not releasing any more Washington football team emails, but certainly not any other franchises. I mean, you cast a wide net of all these other franchises and all these other owners, and they've often been characterized as part of the old boy network. Most of them are white men, and you just wonder, Shannon, how many more damning emails would be found. And you wonder, in the information age, when people can hack into servers, and you saw that in politics. You saw people hacking into, in foreign countries, hacking into the Democratic National Committee servers and getting emails. I don't think this is over. Even if the NFL tries everything it can to quash this, I think Pandora's box is open. I think somebody's going to hack into some email servers, and you're going to see more ugliness come to the surface here. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, especially when it feels like, given that those were the specific emails released from this investigation, that someone had it out for Gruden for whatever reason, whether it was because they saw those emails and they were like, oh no, this guy's got to go, or if they had something against him beforehand and then were like, here's his ticket out. But now Gruden's got something to prove, or to either put himself back into a light or drag somebody down with him. I don't think this is anywhere near from over.
And we're seeing on Facebook Live, Jason Paniagua saying Real Sports on HBO and HBO Max in September did a segment on John Gruden that we should check out. I haven't seen that segment, but I do have HBO Max, so I will go look for that. Before we break and before we bring Andy Everett, the voice of the undefeated UTSA football team, on board, and we'll talk college football, golf, and World Series with Andy. Right now, your shot at some Ron White tickets. Comedian Ron White coming to the Majestic Theater in San Antonio in February. You can win those tickets now. Shannon, which caller at 800-707-9760 should Dave Ayler take?
I'm feeling good after that Astros win last night, so I think I'm back into my feelings of Astros in 6. So we're gonna do caller number 6 today.
I like it. 6, as in Astros in 6. Caller 6, 800-707-9760 gets the Ron White tickets. Coming up, Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA athletics, his thoughts on the Roadrunners, college football, the World Series, what's going on in golf. He's our resident golf guru. Lots to talk about with Andy coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We're with you till 9. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. Somebody's calling from HEB. I see an HEB caller ID. Frank Leal, Aaron Stahl, Rodriguez. I don't see a first name. Ken Rainbolt. That's a great name. Oh! Start cleaning up a little bit. That would be a good idea. Foam Foot would like to be your date if you win the Ron White tickets. Foam Foot 420, you could win the tickets. You could call in. There's that. That's good. Jason Paniagua says a sports book will hire John Gruden. But if you do that, Jason, I mean, how do that's Foam Foot, you got to hit redial. That's how you get back in. But even a sports book, because of the racist allegations, does a sports book want to risk alienating potential customers or current customers? See you, Gordon. Gordon says, time to head to work. Prepare the new CD and vinyl releases for sale tomorrow. Have a great day. Don't forget to support your local independent music store. Yeah, I was listening to Billy Joel yesterday. He was a guest. It's a really good conversation if you got serious. Billy Joel was a guest of Howard Stern. And Howard Stern is a great interviewer. I have learned that over the years. He's always very prepared. He obviously read like biographies and books on Billy Joel. He knew a lot of stuff. I've seen Howard Stern just do some amazing interviews over the years. And but anyway, Billy Joel said, like so many other people, he is into vinyl, which I haven't had any vinyl albums in decades, plural. So someday, I'd love to get like a vinyl turntable, and I'm a Beatles freak. Start by getting those old Beatles albums from a long time ago. Yeah, see, as Dave Ayler says, he hangs up on everybody. So if it's a bigger number, 6, 7, 8, 9, if you call in and get hung up on, hit your redial and you can get back in. I've heard people do that before, say that they've called a couple times and wound up winning whatever we're giving away, in this case, tickets. I will ask Dave Ayler who won. I don't know who won yet. I'll ask him on the air, unless he tells you here, which he might, since you asked on the feed. Yeah, Jason Paniagua was caller 1, and then he called back and was caller 5 and won. So that's a good thing.
Andy's ready.
Andy Everett is there. Thank you very much.
I'm not too sure what to do about this, but I lost the winner info from yesterday, and I guess I remember the guy's name, so I'll email a Raven that, I guess.
Okay.
Hopefully figure it out or something. I don't know what to do about that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, if he ever shows up looking, we got his name so we can cross-check it. Luckily, it's not until February. So if she holds on to that name.
Yeah, the tickets don't go on sale until tomorrow.
All right, we'll talk a little UTSA and college football with Andy Everett. UTSA 8-0. Pretty good. Foamfoot 420 says today's show has flown by. That's a good sign, I hope. Thank you very much. Here we come. Woo! Woo!
Back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Glory Days by the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Presented for your approval by soundscape stylist Dave Ayler. And certainly 10 years from now, heck, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, they're going to look back on this UTSA football season and call it the glory days of UTSA football. They are 8-0 with 4 games left in the regular season, a chance to do something unbelievable and run the table, perhaps. I asked Andy about that a week ago, and he said a game that will really tell the tale will be at Louisiana Tech. Let's bring him in. He is the voice of UTSA athletics, Andy Everett. And Andy, you said you felt a week ago that if they could do what UTSA had never done before, and that's win at Ruston, Louisiana, at Louisiana Tech, then maybe they had a shot at running the table. And not only did UTSA win, they annihilated Louisiana Tech 45-16. How you feeling about the Road Runners right now?
Oh, I think it's an easier path, but I'll remind everybody, as Jeff Traylor always does, is if you eat too much cheese, then what happened in the Rice UAB game last week happens. And Rice didn't score. They didn't cross the 40-yard line in the game at UTSA, and they go into UAB, which I think is still the best team in the league, and certainly no worse than second, and lost. Rice beats them. So that's what you have to look at. You've got 4 games left, and UTSA will be favored in probably all of them, provided they keep winning. And now that they're favored, they're the hunted, not the hunter, and it's a lot different thing that they're going to have to deal with.
Next game for UTSA is against UTEP, and fans of both schools are banding together. They're trying to get game day to come to town. The other big match, though, as it stands right now, number 18 Auburn versus number 14 Texas A&M. But that next game did get flexed on ESPN to become a primetime game on ESPN2. National coverage for both programs. How big is that national coverage going to be?
And what's the likelihood that you see choosing El Paso for game day?
Well, it is big for all of the above. However, UTEP has to play at Florida Atlantic this week, and Florida Atlantic is probably the first or second best team in the East. And so that's no guarantee that they're going to win and have only one loss on their record going into the week. You kind of hope that they do so that that game has more significance. It will also tell you how good UTEP is. And, you know, I'm not a big proponent of saying, well, what's your record against good teams? Because until Illinois beat Penn State last week, UTSA's opponents that they had beaten hadn't had that great of a record either. That said, UTEP has played the likes of New Mexico State, Old Dominion, Southern Miss, Bethune-Cookman, and schools that are probably either not in the FBS in Bethune-Cookman or in the bottom 30 of the teams in the country. But they have beaten the teams they're supposed to. So I guess game day makes the decision whenever they make it, but probably one of the things that would have to happen to get them out there is for UTEP to upset Florida Atlantic on the road, and that'll be a difficult task. But just getting flexed to the primetime game and being on ESPN2 next week is huge for the program. That happened a lot last year when those networks were looking for programming with 50 schools not playing until October. And now it's something special when you get that. And you can look at that as a glimpse towards the future when UTSA goes to the American Conference. They're going to have a lot of games on TV, and that means they'll also play some Thursday and Friday night games as well.
He is Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA Athletics. And Andy, I guess this is inevitable when a team like UTSA has this level of success, 8-0, and an opportunity to just expand upon that gaudy record all season long. Speculation about the head coach, Jeff Traylor. We learned this week Texas Tech blew out their coach, and there was actually a television sports anchor, I think out of Sherman, Texas, who said he had sources close to UTSA saying that Texas Tech had already reached out to Jeff Traylor. If indeed, and I know we don't know, Andy, and I know a lot of this is speculation, but just knowing what you know about UTSA, its athletic department, and Coach Jeff Traylor, if a school like Texas Tech made an offer to Jeff Traylor, what do you think UTSA would have to do to make sure that Jeff Traylor sticks around for a few more years as head coach?
Well, it's always good to be wanted. It's always good to be the belle of the ball. And when you're 8-0, and last year, if you go back, UTSA has lost one football game since mid-October last year. They lost at Florida Atlantic, and they lost the bowl game, and they haven't lost yet this year. And so this is a hot item. And I'm guaranteeing anybody that's a fan of UTSA or a fan of any other school whose coach is in demand, as is Jeff right now, for UTSA and for pretty much anybody else. If somebody picked up the phone and called you today and said, we'll pay you 4 or 5 times more than you're making now, would you like to come and listen to what we have to say? You'd probably pick up the phone and go, yeah, I'll listen to you. So I think it's human nature, and I think it's the right thing that you do to take care of yourself and your family. So, but it doesn't, from a UTSA perspective, I look at it from this way. Whatever it is that he wants to stay, I don't think is out of line. And I don't know what that is, but I'm sure he's had conversations with UTSA as to where he wants to see the program going. Because if this train is going to continue on the upper stratosphere path that it's on, it doesn't matter who the coach is if the things that the program needs to be successful are the things that you'll want. And so you're moving to the American Conference in 2 years, and that requires a huge budget increase. And that puts the onus on the business leaders of San Antonio. If you own a business and you're not contributing to UTSA, you're part of the problem, not part of the cause in trying to move that program forward. And if you look at a lot of the sponsors of a lot of other franchises in town over the years, many of those are not part of the UTSA family right now. So if UTSA is going to make this last, and we've heard Jeff on the show talking about Memphis, Cincinnati, and Miami, and other entities in college football that are inner city or city-based schools that did not have tradition 20, 30, 40 years ago, but do now. I think that's the goal for him and anyone that ever succeeds him. But in order to get to that, you have to have a huge financial commitment. And I know the administration is working feverishly to get to that point so that when somebody does come knocking on your door, the answer is, we're good here. We're doing all right. But you got to get there, and those are the growing pains that it takes any program that's this young.
I'm sure for UTSA fans, this is a very new experience to be playing well and have this undefeated record, have that little number in front of your name because you're ranked in the top 25. And then instead of it being a story of, well, your coach is leaving because the team is no good, your coach might be leaving because your team is too good. But as you said, you know, I too believe that with what he's instilled, as long as that program keeps working and using the tools that he's brought to them, whether he's there or not, they should be just fine. But nonetheless, they are undefeated at this moment. They do have a bye week. So from a guy like yourself, who's been to all these games, you've had every call, what are the few things that this team needs to work on so they can get that much better as they prepare for UTEP?
Well, I think fundamentally, and Jeff talked about this on the radio show last night, they just need to tackle better. They need to run routes better. They need to block better, just fundamental things. And that's what they basically worked on the first 2 days of practice this week. And then some basic things that they think that they'll do against UTEP or that they'll see from UTEP. and they're going to get 3 to 4 days off. They'll come back and practice on Sunday and Monday and take Tuesday off next week because Tuesday is election day. So the NCAA requires that election day be an off day for all athletes in college sports. And then they'll get back to work Wednesday through Friday and head out to El Paso late on Friday. But I think that the other thing, too, that I think is huge from a fan's perspective, there is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't have 35,000 plus for the last 2 home games. And if UTSA qualifies for the conference championship, we should have 50 plus. And that makes a statement, I think, to a program and to players and coaches as well, that you're behind the team and you want this to be successful. Everybody wants to be associated with a winner. And I get it. In the last couple of years of the Frank Wilson era, the team was not only winning, they weren't a lot of fun to watch. The offense was boring. There were reasons why it was, but it wasn't a lot of fun to watch. This team is exciting. And this defense is as good as any defense probably in the top, maybe not the top 5 defenses in the nation, but because I don't know what Alabama's NFL stock looks like, or Georgia, or those schools. This defense is better than anything I've seen in the Big 12 by far. And so you need to buy tickets today and tomorrow and all the way up to those last 2 home games and call ahead and say, hey, call me back if you make the conference championship game. I want in.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting if these things come to pass to see will the sports fans in San Antonio and the surrounding area step up and do the right thing and support UTSA football in a big, big way. Andy, I have to ask you another huge sports story. The Houston Astros evening the World Series at a game apiece last night. It seems like the rest of the country hates the Astros, and we who are Astros fans are really enjoying this run. Your thoughts on the Houston Astros? Do you think they're going to break through and win this thing and make the rest of the country angry and sad that the team that they hate goes on to win it again?
I think the Astros have the better roster, and I think the pitching's probably pretty even. And usually the better team wins the series, so I would say yes to that. But Atlanta seems to be kind of the team of destiny this year. They were supposed to beat the Dodgers, and they did. And they played good baseball all year long. So I think this still goes 6 games, and the Astros maybe 7. I think if as long as the pitching holds up for the Astros, they're the better team, at least on paper.
Yeah, I think we're going 6 or 7 as well. It's got all the markings of a long series to me. Finally, Andy, you are our golf guru. You are the host of the golf show on Ticket 760, 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings. For people outside San Antonio, they can find that on the iHeartRadio app. Always lots of great golf information, not only from a PGA standpoint, but for those who play the game. What's on your golf radar? What's the next big golf story PGA-wise?
Well, this is kind of the silly season for golf. You played a lot of these other tournaments. Hideki Matsuyama won the Zozo Championship in Japan, which is a fall series event. It's good to see that there were American golfers that were traveling to Japan again to play in that. And we're kind of looking ahead to the 2021-22 season's already started. But we're looking kind of forward to what happens in January and February when everybody kind of gets into full gear. Locally, we're a couple of weeks away from Almost Basin Golf Course reopening. I think they're trying to target a soft opening on November 6th and a grand opening in full-fledged with more, probably limited play for a while to not wear out the golf course. But that golf course has been shut down since January. So that opens back up next month. And we'll talk about that this weekend on the show. And this weekend show is another milestone for the Ticket 760 Golf Show. We've been doing this for 25 years, and it'll be show number 1300 on Saturday.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want that to slip my mind, Andy. That is a huge accomplishment. Anybody who's worked in radio, TV, media of any kind, to have that level of longevity is amazing. And you've missed almost no Saturdays on that show, which is all the more amazing that you're so consistent in making sure that show is on the air.
Yeah, we've had 11 misses in 25 years. A couple of them early on. 7 back in 2013 when we moved the show into the studio and a couple of weather-related issues since then. David Munoz, who pinch hits for me on the show, and others in the past have been integral in making sure that there's someone in the chair every Saturday. And it was kind of a conversation that I had with a longtime golf pro in San Antonio, Buddy Cook, back in the summer of 1996. And I brought the idea to the management at the time at Clear Channel, now iHeart. And they
Since I'm up against it, I'm going to wrap him, bring him down after this answer.
I didn't really know that how long it would last. I didn't necessarily suspect it would be 25 years, but I don't mind getting up on Saturdays and talking golf for an hour. So we'll keep doing it for as long as everyone will let us, and as long as people listen and our sponsors stay loyal.
Nobody does it better than Andy Everett talking golf in San Antonio and South Texas. Our thanks to Andy Everett. He will have the call as UTSA takes on UTEP. That will be next week. And now, as he mentions, ESPN2, a 9:15 kickoff. So pregame show a couple hours before that. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, great job as always. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Hardball Hard's going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. Dave Ayler, who is our winner? Do you have the winner of the Ron White tickets, Andy?
Today was Louis Mancha.
Louis, congratulations. And you won't be with us tomorrow.
I'll be working down the hall. I'll be back on Monday.
All right. The boss man, Brian Gann, will be in here tomorrow. For Shannon, for Dave Ayler, and thanks to Andy Everett. Enjoy your Throwback Thursday. We will see you tomorrow with football picks. Adios, amigos. All right. See y'all later. Farewell. Louisa says, go Spurs, go. Thanks, everybody. Go Astros. Go Spurs. Spurs take. I didn't talk a lot of Spurs in Dallas with Shannon today. Hopefully the Spurs will break her heart tonight. Foamfoot 420, farewell. Go Packers. I am with you on the Packers tonight. Jason Paniagua, great show. Go Cards. Jason and Foamfoot, I want more details on your taco bet. All right. Until next time, which is in 21 hours. See you later. Adios.